actually hotter than Satan's butt crack today, and for some reason I'm wearing long sleeves and I happen to be burning at 2 to 3 degrees hotter than everyone else because I'm pregnant. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a kid in there. So for those of you wondering why I haven't uploaded recently, there you go. Liam and I are both very excited. We'll talk more about my pregnancy later, or I'll address it in another video, but whatever. We're going to talk about Sarah J Maas now, but first let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Erin, and I am obsessed with books, particularly books written by Sarah J Maas. If any of you have been here on my channel for a while, you know I am actually a little bit obsessed. Like, I'm pretty sure that it's a problem. But you know something? It could be drugs. I could be taking drugs. So you've clicked on this video for one of 3 reasons. 1, you watch my videos a lot. Number 2, you are a hardcore Sarah J Maas fan and you click anything that says her name on it, like myself. Or number 3, you have no idea who she is, or you've just learned who she is and you're considering reading some of her books. Allow me to help you. This is going to be a rather, hopefully, let's fingers crossed, comprehensive guide towards Sarah J Maas, what she writes, how many books she's written, what the books are, what they're about, and what you might enjoy from them. I will preface this by saying she has a lot of books. Currently, she has 2 completed series, one of which is the Throne of Glass series, which is probably one of her most popular, and then the A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy. And while that trilogy is concluded, she is doing a spin-off series, so she has that going for her at the moment. The first book in the spin-off series is going to be out in a month. So now is a great time to start reading her stuff so that you can be on board when that book comes out. Then her last series that she has going, there's only 1 book out so far. The next one's coming out either late this year or early next year, and it's called Crescent City. We'll start by going through the books. Her debut novel was Throne of Glass, published in I think 2012. That's the year that I read it for the first time. And it follows an assassin who has been imprisoned for a year and has been given an opportunity to earn her freedom through a contest. The contest means that she would become the king's assassin for a certain amount of time in a contract before she would earn her freedom. Don't worry, that's not a spoiler, it's literally on the back of the book. It is high fantasy set in a very fanciful world. This is a young adult novel and it does read like a young adult novel. As the books progress, they get a lot more mature and a lot older and stuff as the writing matures, because you gotta remember, this was her first book. Going back from this, we have a prequel, The Assassin's Blade, which follows her journey before she has to do this contest. It's basically a collection of short stories and novellas about the characters, and trust me, just trust me when I tell you that when Sarah J Maas writes a character, you cannot stop yourself from falling so in love with them that even though like you would jump in front of a bullet for the book, not just for the characters, for like the pieces of paper bound in here, you would take a bullet. That's how much you grow to love these characters. Sarah J Maas is one of those very rare writers who can create a character that feels so unbelievably real to you that they become a part of you, and the connection that you feel to them and the story, it's lifelong. Emotionally, it never lets you go. Alright, let's get back on track. The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, followed by Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and last but certainly not least, Kingdom of Ash. Yes, it is an incredibly long series. There are 8 books in the series and they are not short books. If you want to commit to something, you're looking for a lifetime commitment, this is the book series for you. If you're not entirely sure that you want to commit for 8 long books, that's okay, because we got you covered with her next series, which we're going to talk about in a minute once we're done talking about this, but we're not done talking about this because I need to obsess a little bit. The original for this book was so bloody long that her publishers basically said, we can't put that into a book. You're gonna have to find a way to split it. So what she did was, she took a bunch of the characters and put them into this book, expecting it to be a novella. And then this book totaled at how many pages, for a little bit of context here? 664 pages, so that is not a novella. And then this one is 984. Damn, that would have been a long book. I kind of wish that they had done that, just so that I would have the satisfaction of having a book that size on my bookcase. Forgot to mention earlier, she also has a book called Catwoman. It's set in the DC universe and it is about Catwoman. I don't have a copy of that one. I'm not really a DC kind of girl, but you know something? I should get a copy of it because honestly I would read her grocery lists just to get a little bit of something that Sarah J Maas wrote. If you are into long stories, big character growth, high fantasy, high stakes, high adventure, then Throne of Glass is the place to start. I would recommend to anybody asking that they start Sarah J Maas with Throne of Glass because it was the debut. You do have to keep in mind that just because it starts as a YA novel doesn't mean it's going to progress that way. It does turn into new adult, so there is some smut towards the end of the series. If that isn't something that you like, then I would maybe think twice about reading them, or at least reading the last 2 or 3 of them. But look, use your judgment. If you were to ask me to pick a favorite in the Throne of Glass series, it's a toss-up between Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows. They're definitely my favorites, but they're my favorites for 2 different reasons. Whenever I need to feel less alone, and there's a book that I want to pick up to make me feel less alone, this is the one that I pick up. Then Queen of Shadows is my favorite because it's just so badass. This is the most badassery thing I've ever read in my life. This woman is brilliant. And then this one, no spoilers, made me scream like a little bitch. I've got a story for you. I was going to go to Sarah J Maas's signing for this book, and I had finished it in the car on the way to meet her. And I was already very emotional because you know what? I'm meeting Sarah J Maas, my literary idol who I absolutely adore and who has changed my life through her words. And I had just finished this book. I was weeping already. I get to Sarah J Maas's table. I look at her. She looks at me. She says hi. And I started crying. I started sobbing like full on ugly crying in front of Sarah J Maas. If you're more into romance, then while Throne of Glass does have romance, then I would recommend you start with A Court of Thorns and Roses. Court of Thorns and Roses, or known as ACOTAR by a lot of people, is quite heavy on the romance, not in an annoying way, because I know that it can be annoying. It's in a good way. This book is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. The others are not, but it starts off as a fairy tale retelling. It is absolutely fantastic. It follows a character by the name of Feyre. She's hunting in the woods to feed her family when she kills a fairy, and she has to pay a price for that. It's also very high fantasy, set in just an absolutely stunning world. The world building in these books is just so beautiful, so visually rich. It's so immersive. So the A Court of Thorns and Roses series goes, naturally, A Court of Thorns and Roses. A Court of Mist and Fury, that is my favorite, my absolute favorite. But it seems to be most people's favorites. It's so good. It's so good! The last one in the trilogy is A Court of Wings and Ruin. How stunning is that cover? Again, it looks skinny. It's not skinny. The book totals at 698 pages. She doesn't write short books. And then it was followed up with a novella. Her only short book, as you can see, is that little one. A Court of Frost and Starlight. It's simply a wrap-up for the last series and an intro to the next one, because as I said earlier, she has a new book in this trilogy, or rather a new book spin-off to the trilogy coming out in a month. It's called A Court of Silver Flame. The covers are different. I'm not a huge fan of the covers, but I'm a fan of the content, so I can't actually complain that much. A Court of Thorns and Roses doesn't start as young adult and move its way into new adult like the Throne of Glass series does. It's just plain new adult or adult. There is smut. Both of those are high fantasy series. If high fantasy is not your thing, but you still want to give some Sarah J Maas a try, allow me to introduce the one and only Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. First off, that cover. Come on, look at how beautiful it is. Yes, I have made notes because there is a review for it on my channel if you want to watch it. There's a review for A Court of Mist and Fury and for the entire Court of Thorns and Roses series, and for some of the Throne of Glass series. The reviews on my channel if you want to watch them. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. I'm going to tell you what it would say on the back of the book. It follows a young woman by the name of Bryce. She lives in a city called Crescent City, and unfortunately some friends of hers are killed, and it's left to her to try to figure out what happened to them. I'm not going to tell you anymore because it would be a spoiler. What I will tell you is this is not entirely high fantasy. While it certainly has high fantastical elements, it is urban fantasy and also kind of post-apocalyptic and so many things. It's such a massive blend of things. She basically created a new genre and it worked. Risky move to make, especially when you are so niched into high fantasy, to go out and do something so different. Risky move to make, it paid off. It is absolutely brilliant. It is not new adult, it is not young adult, it's just plain fat adult. The first 50 to 100 pages are slow. There's a lot of world building, there's a lot of character introduction, but if you find it slow, please just push through it. It is so unbelievably worth it, because when you get to that ending, you will not be able to sleep for a week, because it's all you will be able to think about. The next one, I believe, comes out either late this year or early next year. I'm not sure which one. I must warn you, if you are reading any of her books for the first time, do not Google them until you have finished. Spoilers are everywhere. You will ruin it. I convinced my husband to read the Throne of Glass series and he absolutely loved them. Absolutely fell head over heels for these books and these characters, and finally understood my life-ending obsession. And then he got to the final book in the series and he simply Googled a character's name, and the biggest spoiler of the series came up. And then I was left trying to lie my way around and say, no, that's not what happens, it's something else, you just have to keep reading. He did keep reading, but it was exactly what happened. So you just don't do it to yourself. Don't do it. Do not be a last page reader. Please do not be a last page reader. This video was all over the place. I am actually really surprised that I was able to compile my thoughts into something somewhat coherent, because usually when I'm talking about Sarah J Maas, I just ramble, which I've probably done, but at least I haven't started crying. I hope this has helped you make a decision as to whether or not you want to read a Sarah J Maas book. If you're still on the fence, I'm just gonna go ahead and make the decision for you now. Go read a Sarah J Maas book, then come back and we'll have a chat about it. I will convert everyone to Sarah J Maas. I have a whole lot of new videos scheduled to come out, so my break for my morning sickness and my just pregnancy related crap is probably done now, so I can actually come back and enjoy life. People say that pregnancy is the best time of your life. Those people are liars. But I'm feeling a lot better now, so you can expect loads of videos from me. You can expect a new writing vlog coming out in a few days. For those of you who don't know, I'm a New York Times bestselling author, yay, and I write books and vlog it on YouTube, and I put it all out here for you to see the process of writing a book. There are 3 episodes up at the moment for this latest novel, and there will be another one coming up really soon. So if you want to see that, hit the subscribe button. If you could hit the like button, I would like that. It helps me a lot, actually. Thank you all so much for sticking with me, even though I wasn't posting a whole lot for the past few months. I really appreciate it, and I hope you understand why now. Anyway, I'm Erin, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!